Welcome back to the Sound for More channel and welcome back to another tutorial on Mela. Before I continue, I would like to remind my viewers to subscribe as it helps with growing the channel. Additionally, if you would like to support what I do, please do check the instruction contained in the video description. Thank you again. Okay, today I'm going to show you how you can create a sequence of notes like a sequencer play, but without using a sequencer because Mela doesn't have a sequencer yet, but maybe it is coming in the near future. Okay, we are inside AUM. We are going to create an audio channel and we are going to instantiate Mela as an audio source. You will notice also that Mela loads much quicker, which is absolutely great. So we're going to move to the right here on the preset, so we have a standard init preset, okay? Next, what we're going to do, we're going to create a MIDI channel. And the reason for a MIDI channel is because I'm going to use ground stuff to actually show you the notes that are generated from Mela as if it was a sequencer, okay? So I'm going to connect the two like so. I'm going to grab the output from Mela. Okay, so back inside Mela, we're going to add a lane. And we're going to start inserting as a MIDI processor a note pulse. I already explained how this works in a previous tutorial. Now we're going to set the sync down to the to one bar, okay, so that there is enough space from between pulses that the note pulse will generate in order to play a sequence. So it will become clear in a moment. And I'm going to also reduce the gate to a minimum so that it doesn't hold the notes as others are playing, because I'm going to use the note pulse just as a pulse to kick off the play of a sequence, okay? I'm going to go to notes. I'm going to leave note C3, that's fine. I'm going to reduce slightly the velocity. Next, I'm going to go to signal router and establish a MIDI out. You just might be wondering, okay, you just created a note pulse which generate note C3 with that velocity at this tempo sync, and you're going to send the MIDI out straight away. Not quite. I'm going to change the output and I'm going to send it to bus 1. Okay, so the notes will not leave Mela. I'm going to close that lane. I'm going to add another lane. And this time I'm going to signal router and accept MIDI input messages. And I'm going to get them, instead of outside coming into Mela, I'm going to grab them from bus 1. So effectively, lane 1 is actually generating pulses of note C3, sending to bus 1, and those are captured here, okay? Next, I'm going to convert MIDI-to-Poly standard to create, to play an internal synth. Voices, I'm going to leave them to 1. I don't need polyphonic in this case. And then I'm going to create a normal synth. So I'm going to put a VPS oscillator, and then I'm going to add also an amp envelope as well. Otherwise, it will keep ringing. So next, I'm going also to go back to auto processor, and I'm going to select the velocity to amp. This is quite a good module. If you don't know how to use it, it has two controls, a curve and a smooth. And as the helper will say, it just converts MIDI note velocity to audio level, which is what you want, right? Because otherwise, how do you control the audio output level based on the MIDI input velocity, because MIDI events are converted to audio signal. So you have a curve, okay, which is mapping the curve. It changes the dynamic range, and then a smoothness as well in terms of how notes are changed. And so I'm going to add a bit of smoothness there. Next, I'm going to produce, I'm going to go to signal router and select audio out. So we have some audio that we can hear. But the next as well, I'm going to go back to signal router and also allow for MIDI to be sent out to the normal output. Okay, now if I click play, so you have one note every bar. If you open ground stuff, you see that note C. There it is. Okay, so far so good, nothing really spectacular, but this is where the fun begins. So duplicate this last lane, like so. Close that lane. Okay. Before the MIDI-to-Poly, let's insert, first of all, under MIDI processor, a transposer. I'm going to use these to transpose up and down the notes and therefore create different notes which will be playing into a sequence. Now, if I leave it like so, you will just hear one note being played. Effectively there are two, but there is one overlapping. So we are going to go back here, and after the transposer, we are going to add a MIDI delay. The MIDI delay is very straightforward. It has a control which you can establish a delay in terms of duration and host sync, and then you can also establish an offset, which is really good. But I'm going to leave it to 1/8, okay? And again, if you don't know how to use it, go to help, but it's really straightforward, right? Okay, and now listen to what happens. So it has played actually two notes, okay, one after the other with a delay of 1/8. I'm going to adjust the sustain here a little bit down to 0 and give it a little bit more attack. Okay, I'm going to do the same on the previous one as well. Okay, that sounds good. Going to close that lane. We have lane 3, and now we keep going like this. So we duplicate that one, close that one. This time, let's go up 3 semitones, and now we need to add an additional delay. So I'm going to duplicate that to 1/8. Otherwise, this note will be played at the same time of the previous note from the previous lane. Back at beginning, play. Okay, so hopefully you start to hear that sound. And again, if that is not loud enough, go back here on the pulse and increase the velocity, right? Okay, perfect. Let's continue like so, and let's generate an interesting progression. Let's go back by 2 here, and then let's duplicate these 1, and let's listen. Okay, let's duplicate that 1 again, one more time. Go up by 2. Duplicate these. Okay, duplicate one more time, like so. Up like so, duplicate again, delay. Okay, one more. Okay, and we set this to 0 as to end that sequence of notes, and again we duplicate to add an additional delay. And magically, you have a sequence of notes, which is really good. Now, the problem of this is that if you stop after the first pulse is generated, of course, it still plays because it sent that pulse to all the different lanes, which will be playing with a delay, okay? But it's one way. There are other ways as well that you can create sequences of notes without having a sequencer inside Mela. So I thought this is actually quite cool. Now let's add an additional part. So let's go to lane here. Let's, for example, create again note pulse. We'll leave it to 1/4, something like that. And we go lower, perhaps C2, something like that. And then MIDI-to-Poly, then the same VPS oscillator, the same amp envelope, that's fine. Then the same velocity to amp, perfect. And then we add an audio output, and then also a MIDI out as well. And let's click play and make some adjustment here. Okay, now if you check grunt stuff, you will see the melody being played with also a C bass note. Okay, so that sounds really good. Now you could have even more fun, and let's use it as a sequencer. Let's create another audio channel, and let's bring in Synth Master 1. Why not? Let's mute these, okay, Mela. And actually, let's go here and on the bass note, and before the messages are sent out to MIDI, let's insert under MIDI processor a MIDI channel module, which has the ability to modify the channel or also to filter it, and then you choose the channel. In this case, I'm going to send the bass note to MIDI channel 1, okay, while instead the sequence of notes goes to MIDI channel number 1. I'm going to connect it like so. This is Synth Master 1, and I'm going for this first instant to receive only channel number 1. I'm going to open this up. I'm going to go to Synth, and I'm going to choose Black here. Why not? And I'm going to press Enter, and I'm going to choose this Black here. Play. Great. Now let's duplicate this channel here, like so. Connect it to Mela again, receive only on MIDI channel number 2, and let's play. So it's great. And of course here you could change the preset. Instead of having a pluck, you can put a bass if that is what, for example, you prefer, right? So you go to Synth here and choose another bass like so, and then play with it a little bit. And then you can continue again. So you could, for example, add the kick drum, which I showed you in a previous tutorial. So that is really a nice way that you can use Mela in this way to simulate a sequencer. Of course, there's more you can do. For example, you could add an additional lane, put a modulator, and then use the modulator against, for example, the note here. And in that case, you could, for example, change the melody as well, right? And then you could scale it, for example, and so on and so forth. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the short tutorial, and as always, see you next time. Bye.